Please help me to reach 1,000 subscribers. When you plan a wedding, you imagine laughter, dancing, love, and the feeling that nothing can ever go wrong. But life is a way of reminding you that nothing is guaranteed, and that even the smallest slip can unravel everything. That night, the hall was decorated perfectly. Crystal chandeliers, flowers in full bloom, music drifting through the air like it belonged to a dream. Everyone smiled, clinked glasses, and celebrated what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. I had rehearsed this moment in my mind 100 times. Walking down the aisle, exchanging vows, the look on my husband's face when he saw me in my dress. And for the first half of the evening, everything felt right, until the drinks started flowing. Just a few glasses of champagne at first, then cocktails, then shots I didn't even know I was taking. I laughed too loudly at jokes I didn't entirely understand, my cheeks flushed, my head spinning. It felt good, too good, free, untethered from all the careful control I usually kept over myself. And then he appeared. My ex, the one I never thought I'd see again. I froze when I noticed him across the room. He smiled that same infuriating grin I'd known so well, the one that used to make my heart race and my stomach twist. I hadn't planned to speak to him. I hadn't planned to dance with him. I hadn't planned to even think about him tonight. But the alcohol dulled my sense, my self-control slipping like sand through my fingers. Somehow, our hands found each other. Somehow, I let him pull me onto the dance floor. And it was intoxicating. Not just the alcohol, but the thrill of something forbidden. The music surged around us, everyone else disappearing into a blur of colors and noise. I laughed, I twirled, I leaned into him, letting him guide me with movements that were too familiar, too intimate for the occasion. And somewhere in the back of my mind, a quiet voice whispered, "Stop. Think. Remember where you are." But I ignored it, drowned it out with the pounding beat of the song and the heat rising in my chest. That's when I felt it, a hand on my husband's shoulder. One look at his face, and the world shifted. I wanted to laugh it off, to tell myself I could explain it later, that he would understand, that this was just a moment, harmless and fleeting. But there was no misunderstanding in his eyes. Nothing playful. Nothing calm. Only shock. Hurt. A quiet rage that seemed to expand, filling the room, suffocating me even as the music continued to play. "Stop," he said. The single word sliced through the music, cutting the haze around me like a blade. My ex froze, the smile slipping from his face. I stumbled back, suddenly sober in the glare of my husband's gaze. I tried to smile, to make it look like it was nothing, but the words stuck in my throat. My mind raced, desperately searching for a justification that didn't exist. I could see it then. I could see what I had done. Not the dancing, not the laughter, not the alcohol. I had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. And the man I had promised to love, to honor, to protect, was standing there, looking at me as if I had shattered everything he believed in. The music faded around the edges, the noise of the party turning into a dull roar in my ears. He didn't shout. He didn't storm off. He didn't cry. He just stared. And that stare was heavier than any words, heavier than any argument, heavier than any slap could ever be. I wanted to reach for him, to explain, to tell him I didn't mean it, that it was the drinks, that it was a moment, that it was a mistake. But my feet wouldn't move. My heart wouldn't beat fast enough. I watched as he turned, not in anger, not in fury, but with a calm so precise it made my stomach twist. He walked away, leaving me standing on the dance floor, my hands still resting on the wrong person's shoulders, my face flushed, my mind spinning with panic. And then the whispers started, from tables nearby, from friends I thought I could trust, from relatives whose judgment had always been quiet until now. "Did you see that? She shouldn't be touching him. What is she thinking?" Their voices didn't carry anger, just the unmistakable sound of realization. The subtle acknowledgement that what I had done was a breach of trust, a crack in the foundation of something we had built for months, for years. Every glance, every small movement, every half-laugh felt like it was being recorded, judged, stored in memory like evidence of my failure. I stumbled away from the dance floor, my heels clicking on the polished floor, like a warning to myself. And then I saw him again, standing near the edge of the room, His hands clenched at his sides, jaw tight, eyes scanning me as if measuring the extent of my betrayal. I wanted to disappear. I wanted to shrink. I wanted to erase the night, erase the alcohol, erase myself. But there was no erasing. There was only reality, harsh and unyielding, staring me in the face. When he finally spoke, it wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It didn't need to be. "We need to talk," he said, his voice quiet, controlled, like a dam holding back a flood of anger that could have destroyed the entire hall. My stomach dropped. I nodded, barely able to meet his eyes. Somewhere inside me, a part of me knew that this conversation would mark the end of the wedding as I knew it, the end of the celebration, the end of my illusions about what love, loyalty, and respect truly meant. We stepped outside, into the quiet of the empty terrace, the music now a distant hum. The cold air hit me like a splash of reality, sobered me more than any glass of champagne ever could. He didn't yell. He didn't curse. He didn't cry. He just looked at me, and I could see it all. The disappointment, the pain, the disbelief, the anger hidden behind the calm. I tried to speak, but my words faltered, broken and useless. He held up a hand. "No explanations," he said. "I just need to know why." I opened my mouth, then closed it. I realized then that there was no justification, no excuse that could untangle the mess I had created. My actions weren't minor. They weren't a lapse. They were a choice that shattered the trust one had promised to uphold with him, a choice that marked a fracture in our marriage that might never heal. And in that moment, standing on the terrace with the night sky pressing down on us, I understood that weddings aren't just about love or celebration. They're about trust, about respect, about the unspoken agreements that hold two lives together. And I had just torn one of those agreements apart with a single, thoughtless, intoxicating mistake.